Welcome back to Houzz TV Live. I'm Rick Spence, and with me today is Katelyn Gilmour with KBG Design in San Jose, doing amazing work on Houzz for over 6 years. Best of Houzz many years in a row, and she's sharing her own home, a 70s rancher. Tell me about this home and what your goals were for the home.
Having each room be a compartmentalized space and not really having the line of sight was a real issue. Multiple different types of floor. We had a huge patterned floor in the entryway, a drop ceiling, acoustic texture everywhere. And the kitchen itself used to be a very dead end, one-way kitchen. And being that my husband and I both cook, we only had about a 21-inch prep space on the existing peninsula. And so function was really key, and opening it up and truly making the most of the existing footprint was the main goal.
Tell me about some of your choices in the kitchen and what you did.
Sure. Yeah. Material-wise, I really wanted to have a really interesting blend of color and texture and brightness, of course. I really feel that having the brightest colors be from like the countertop up is the most valuable when you're trying to add a lot of light into a space. For functional reasons, we went with an engineered quartz countertop. It doesn't have to be sealed, full height backsplash. Kind of a fun project for me was introducing some inset antique mirrors to reflect a lot of natural light in the space, and just a way to kind of break up all the cabinetry from being kind of monotonously, wood uppers or something, or painted uppers. And of course, I'm a huge believer, and I talk a lot about mixing metal finishes. So you'll see that we have brass and we have like a black iron. Of course, there's stainless within the appliances. Being willing to combine those finishes and do it in such a way that really makes sense is something that I really strive for with clients and also in my own home.
Tell me a little bit more about that backsplash, sort of textural, almost organic vibe to it.
To me, it's almost like a Spanish nod in a way. It's actually like a 3/4 inch ceramic product. And we ended up needing to do things like build out the crown above our window and whatnot so that we could install such a thick tile, is something that I really love working with because it's a very natural color and very livable color.
And you sort of weight down the room a little bit with the darker cabinetry. What color blue is that?
That's a really good question because it's actually a custom color. I specify a lot of Dunn Edwards colors, and the current products out there of conversion varnishes is a different brand. The conversion to Sherwin-Williams, like their conversion varnish, which is like a more durable, hardy finish compared to a latex paint, it ended up being kind of a custom color because what initially was provided was not quite what I wanted. But I was like, oh, okay, I kind of like that. Let's just tweak it a little bit. Let's just saturate that.
It's just you in the garage. It needs a little bit more of this.
Well, it was because when colors are converted, we don't always get the same result. And my cabinet maker provided me with a sample, and I was just like, that is very different. Right. It's not like a slight deviation. It was like a very different color. Yeah,
Back
exactly.
To the lab.
So he remixed it, and we ended up with this kind of a very deep slate navy color. I think originally I thought it was actually going to be a little bit more charcoal and less blue, but ultimately I was like, nope, this will work.
So what's your strategy behind pulls and your hardware in your cabinets?
My philosophy is to have knobs on doors, unless they're like a huge door. But in the case of my own kitchen, they're knobs on all the doors and pulls on all the drawers. My goal was, again, to mix and match the metals. So we have a rejuvenation pole that has black part that connects to the cabinet. And then the pole itself is a satin brass. And then the knobs are actually from Anthropology, and they're round antique brass with a mother of pearl design inset, added interest. And it's a little touch of femininity, but also not overly so.
Let's go into the adjacent dining area. And tell me about this, because there's some really beautiful things happening in here. Really cool table. You've got some nice color in here. So tell me about this space.
In an effort to really maximize the kitchen space, we ended up designing the dining table itself to actually have that banquet along one side, which also offers a lot of extra storage, but that really gave us those extra inches to the kitchen, which ended up making a big difference. Super comfortable for us, just kind of climb, into the banquet area. But it's also a great spot to hide crafts and things for kids. And that table was something that I'd actually purchased a long time ago. It's got a hammered stainless top, reflects a lot of that natural light, and also speaks to the antique mirrored inset panels that we have. Originally, I wanted to do a really funky wallpaper because I love wallpapers. I hadn't really come across a wallpaper that I was wanting to commit to, which is kind of funny as a designer, and created this kind of dimensional succulent wall that kind of acts as a large format wallpaper in a sense, because it really does all the things that I wanted, and just having, again, another accent in the home.
And you've pretty dramatically changed the lighting in the space. Before you had almost nothing. What was your strategy around the lighting in the kitchen as it connects to the living, and then in the dining area, and how you tackled that?
Ultimately, when you're approaching lighting, the most important aspect to think about is kind of layering your light sources, which give you a lot more flexibility in that lighting control and kind of setting different moods, but also for practical functional reasons. With overhead, we went with, they're actually like a 3000 Kelvin recessed cam. We did the 4-inch ones. Decorative lighting is great when you really want to define these zones, especially on an open plan. My pendants over the island, they're actually from a school gym, like a middle school gym. And this sweet old man had already rewired them. And it was like immediately, and this, I think I had the lights purchased probably over a year before we started the actual construction. I just love them so much.
Let's go into the living room. Tell me about your living room and what you were going for.
Sure. Well, again, we couldn't change the footprint. So it was kind of about adding square footage in the terms of like volume. So we vaulted the ceiling in there. We widened the front window. We actually live in our living room. So that's our main kind of TV room. And TV is actually within that wood cabinet. So that's where our TV is located. And we have a leopard chair and ottoman, which was a chair that I actually reupholstered. And I love animal print. So I love that this is kind of in our colors with the like navy and cream and gray tones, very soft. And so it's a very like cozy chair. And then the other kind of corner chair is actually it's like a double chair. So though it's not a huge space, we can seat 2 people on that piece itself. And then our sofa with the chaise, of course, a very comfortable, fun spot to be. That's my favorite spot on the couch.
Tell me a little bit more about some of your material choices in here in terms of family friendly. You got is that a reclaimed wood piece for the table in there?
Yeah.
Tell me about your rug and, some of the fabric, that kind of stuff.
The coffee table is a reclaimed piece that I've bought it in a showroom when I lived in Southern California, and it's moved with me
that great
for years.
Color. I love that color of that piece. It's great.
I guess you could say that kind of springboarded a lot of the colors that we ended up actually having in our home. I don't care if you don't have a coaster, or I don't care if something spilled on it, or if someone draws on it. Like you really can't, it's like bulletproof in that way. And if they do show, it actually adds to the character of the table. So that's great. The rug itself, honestly, was a TJ Maxx purchase. It's a wool rug. And it's funny, this type of rug is actually super popular right now because it looks like a worn down vintage rug, but it's actually not old. So it's having those kind of worn and variations of color, again, add to concealing any spills. Someday, when we don't have young kids and for practical reasons, we might do something a little bit higher end or more expensive. But for now, it definitely works for us. So
I like the wall of mirrors. It's sort of like a gallery wall of just mirrors, but they're all different types of mirrors. So tell me about that.
So I have a love of mirrors in general. A lot of those mirrors are actually vintage pieces or just from random garage sale. It's an effort, again, to add the illusion of more space and more natural light while having the fun geometry of kind of a puzzle of mirrors as a kind of backdrop to that space.
I love how you've acquired these different things over the years, the lights in the kitchen, the table, the reclaimed wood, the mirrors, and you've integrated it into this complete composition that looks like it could have been created from scratch, but it wasn't, right? You kind of been doing this over time, which is great. I love that. It just makes it feel a little bit more organic and personal.
Well, and I think when people are approaching their home decor, they get a little gun shy about committing to something. And so a lot of them just won't commit to it versus I'm just going to try it out. So if you were to take all those mirrors off the wall, you'd probably see that I tried out a lot of different placements for those actual mirrors to be until I found the right composition that I wanted. You know, it's just drywall. We can fill the holes, we can patch that and touch up with paint. You know, don't be afraid to try things out and see what could work.
All right, so let's go into the bathroom. What a beautiful space. And tell me about your strategy when you have a limited space like this, because you didn't change the footprint, what the strategy is to maximize your function and how you're going to use it.
Small spaces in general really need to have a good plan. Every inch really matters. And I opted for a custom vanity in there. We did a single sink instead of a double. My husband and I are almost never getting ready at the same time. And having that counter space and the storage was more valuable than having the dual sinks. I really love doing the wall-mounted faucets. I feel for practical purposes, you know, cleaning, like it's just less things to have to wipe down around on the counter. It really helps clear the countertop space. And it's also a really pretty vignette. And in an effort to kind of make the shower feel larger, we actually extended the bathroom tile and carried it, you know, all the way forward towards the door behind the faucet, you know, as our backsplash. But it just kind of carries that eye into the shower and really brightens the space. And it's a very classic kind of crackly subway tile. It's not super crisp, you know, subways. It has kind of that organic kind of shape. So when you look closely at it, you know, again, the grout lines are not perfect. And it's really nice to kind of add in those things that are intentionally imperfect to add character and interest. I really fell in love with this Teak tray shower pan. It's a really cool feeling underfoot. It's not slippery. It's antimicrobial. The aroma of the teak, you know, it just kind of adds to the experience and kind of also a way to inject some organic elements into a space that otherwise has a lot of really like hard surfaces. Going down to the floor, it's a mother of pearl penny round mosaic that I tried numerous times to actually get clients to approve it. And everyone was afraid of it. I was like, I'm going to do it in my own home. Why not? You know, because I feel like it's just a little bit of drama. It's not a bad thing. Again, you'll see like mixed finishes in there as well, which is consistent with just what I like to do and elsewhere in the home.
Well, congratulations on all this, Katelyn. Really beautiful home. Can't wait to see what you do with your clients. Absolutely love it.
My pleasure. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
And we'll be in touch.
Great.
Okay. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.